Hi.
Have you ever wondered about the different dimensions in this universe? Today I will be explaining the 3 spatial dimensions and 1 time dimension in simple words. Now before we start, it is important to understand the meaning of the word dimension in science and maths. In science, dimension typically refers to the measurable aspects of physical space, such as length, width, and height, or to abstract concepts like time. The first dimension is like a single line stretching infinitely in 2 opposite directions, without any width or depth. It's the simplest form of space, similar to marking a dot on a paper. Picture it as a straight line on a map with no thickness at all. Beings in this dimension would be extremely basic, just points along this line. They wouldn't have any shape or size beyond being a single point, and they could only move along the line itself. Their world would be very basic, without concepts like up, down, left, or right, just moving forwards and backwards along the line. It's like living on a never-ending road with no turns or intersections. To sum up, the first dimension is the most basic aspect of spatial existence, with a simple line extending infinitely in 2 directions. The second dimension expands upon the first by introducing width in addition to length. It's like living on a flat surface, such as a piece of paper, where you can move not only forward and backward, but also left and right. Picture it as if you're playing a game on a sheet of graph paper. You can move in 2 directions, along the rows and columns. Living beings in this dimension would be flat, like shapes drawn on the paper, with no thickness. They'd still be limited to movement within this flat surface, without the ability to move up or down. Their world would be like a vast sheet, with everything existing and moving within its flat confines. For example, think of characters in a classic video game moving around on a 2D plane. In conclusion, the second dimension adds width to the concept of space, allowing movement not just along a line but also across a surface. The third dimension adds depth to the 2-dimensional world, creating a space where objects not only have length and width, but also height. It's like stepping out of a flat surface, such as a sheet of paper, into a world where you can move up and down as well as forward, backward, left, and right. Imagine it as if you're in a room. You can walk around and also reach up to touch the ceiling or down to touch the floor. Beings in this dimension would have volume, like solid objects, and they could move freely within this 3-dimensional space. Their world would be filled with objects that have length, width, and height, creating a sense of depth and perspective. For example, think of yourself walking through a city with buildings towering above and streets stretching out in all directions. In conclusion, the third dimension expands upon the concept of space by adding depth, allowing for movement not only along surfaces but also through space itself. The fourth dimension, time dimension. The fourth dimension is a concept that adds another layer to our understanding of space, beyond just length, width, and height. It's often described as time. While we're accustomed to moving through 3 dimensions of space, the fourth dimension involves moving through time as well. Imagine it as if you're watching a movie. Each frame represents a moment in time, and the progression from one frame to the next represents movement through time. Living beings in this dimension would experience time as another dimension of movement, just like how we experience moving through physical space. Their world would involve navigating not only through different locations but also through different moments in time, leading to the concept of past, present, and future existing simultaneously. For example, think of yourself as a character in a storybook, where you can move through the pages to different points in the narrative. In conclusion, the fourth dimension introduces the concept of time as another dimension of space, adding a new layer to our understanding of reality.
What's wrong?
I hope you guys understood. If you enjoyed the video, like, share, and subscribe for more space content.